Good evening, YouTube family. Martinez Country Home here. Well, guys, it's been more than a few days. I ain't made a video, but really glad to be back here with y'all. Um, there was a couple of things that I wanted to talk about. Of course, we still have the health crisis and the supposed, I guess, the way they're handling it. Um, this is still going on. We still have information, pro and con, coming out, and the main information coming out, of course, is the pro, and how to handle that health crisis, right? I'm not gonna get into that here. We know that there's a lot of information coming out that's not being covered by the mainstream media on that. But what I do want to talk about today, guys, is the inflation and and how it's really becoming more apparent now. When these stories started coming out about um, that we're going into inflation, shortages, and all that, down here in Texas, we really weren't seeing that much. um, when it was being spoken about, like in the spring. um, you would hear about it from the other content creators. You know, Alaska Pepper would talk about that a lot. Pepper Now, the Angry Pepper. um, you would hear it talked about a lot. It just here in Texas, we were not really seeing it. Not in that way. Nothing obvious. Um, of course, there were some items that, yes, it's very obvious that they're going up. But what I've seen here in Texas, guys, mainly what we're seeing down here, and I'm gonna speak to what I see, like in our grocery store, in our local grocery store, the things that we're seeing, right? And the things that are very obvious, that and it wasn't before, okay, but what we're seeing is like our again, and I've mentioned this before, is the loaves of bread. They're very small. The same price, it's the same price, but it's just smaller. It's probably like, I want to say, it looks like maybe like 5 or 6 slices smaller, and that's a lot, because if you add it up, uh, in all the loaves of bread that they sell, when it accumulates, that's a lot. I don't know the percentage wise, again, what that is, um, but it's noticeable. Uh, Another thing, guys, is the canned goods. Uh, they're the same price on some, but they got smaller, just very small, barely noticeable, guys. But it's there. Um, Another thing, guys, if you notice, when you start seeing um, generic brands, all of a sudden popped up, uh, and I believe that it has to do with the inflation. Generic brands like our grocery store, HEB, they have their own brand. They have HEB, and then they have the Hill Country Fair generic brands, right? Quote unquote. I've been seeing a lot of those brands come out. Um, the meat is pretty high, especially beef. It's pretty expensive. But so far, it looks like they're kind of holding steady. Another thing about the bread, guys, I don't know if y'all have noticed this, but it tastes almost like they're using a filler for the bread. I don't know how to describe it. It tastes. It's almost like when bread's kind of old, when it's getting old, and it's not fresh anymore. It's not soft, or maybe they're not putting the ingredients that make it soft. I mean, I know it's not really good for us per se. Some of these additives that they put on the breads, they're processed, of course, but it does keep them softer. It feels like whatever keeps the bread soft, it's not soft, guys. It's almost like it's got a rough texture. um and like we like to use Nature's Own, the honey wheat, and we actually buy the our grocery store brand version of Nature's Own, which is the what is it, HEB honey wheat. And it just tastes, it's kind of like, it almost tastes like when you leave the bread out for like a couple hours and it starts getting hard. That's kind of like what it tastes like. It and even the I'm talking about the texture. Even the taste is different. It tastes like a little bit rougher, guys. Okay, it feels like they're using fillers that they normally didn't put in there before. It might just be me, but it to me it's very noticeable. Um, and there was another thing I was gonna talk about. Oh yes, and actually I was reminded by this by Prepper Now. He was doing a video about the vegetables, right? And I don't know, I don't know about y'all, but have y'all noticed the tomatoes? They go bad. It's like they go bad quicker. Um, they and usually when I shop for tomatoes, guys, when I go to the grocery store, I get the tomatoes that are not, they're not really ripe yet. They're not. They're still kind of like they're still a little bit, just a little bit firm, and they're kind of like not fully red yet. They're almost like pinkish. You know what I mean? Because I know that those tomatoes still have a ways, a couple of days or whatever, to where they'll still ripen, right? But I noticed that they're going bad faster, and the last time I went, a lot of them had like these like blackish, like black spots or something. You really have to look, but they kind of like if they got some kind of a like a blight or something. I don't know. It just, I also noticed that like on the citrus, like with the lemons and the limes, you could tell they've been frozen. I mean, of course they got to keep them fresh or whatever when they're transporting them, but um, you could tell when there's fresh lemons. Sometimes we buy limes, but for the most part, we buy lemons. You could tell that they've been frozen. But yeah, guys, we are noticing the inflation a lot more. Um, some of the Mexican restaurants down here, and San Antonio has, I mean, to me, they got the best Mexican restaurants. Um, the prices on the menu have gone up like big time. Um, you have your breakfast tacos, right, guys? If y'all are familiar with the Southwest, especially down here, um, we have the typical breakfast tacos. And they're normally, I mean, now this is usually they would be like $1. Like let's start from the pandemic. When the pandemic started, I might be wrong, guys, but I remember they were like 115, maybe like 125. Um, and even I want to say even 99 cents if you ordered like if you ordered like three of the same. Um, Now even the breakfast tacos are like 185, 175, and normally those are supposed to be the most 150. Those are supposed to be kind of like the more inexpensive items on the menu. Um, the big tacos, right? The good ones that are like beef, right? Um, the what I call the good tacos, right? Like in the like asada and fajita and stuff like that. Those are almost $4 per taco. That's a lot. Like 389. That's like, and now those went up in price like fast. Like within the last, I want to say within the last, let's be conservative here. Like within the last 6 months, those tacos went up that much like fast. It hasn't been that long that they were like 289, which to me was still expensive, but now they're like 389. They're almost $4 per taco. That's a lot. Um, Now I don't mind paying that price if they're gonna be, the size is good size, and the quality, which they are. Where we go, we get good stuff, right? But it's unmistakable, guys. Everything's going up. Down here, the gas is still good. It's still affordable. So far it's been pretty consistent. Um, the highest that it's gone here, it normally stays within a range of like 255 to 275. It's been hitting that range, um, pretty consistent. Every once in a while, it'll go down to like 249. Every once in a while, the highs I've seen recently in the last few months, it went up to 274. Like a couple of weeks ago, it went back down to like 259. Right now, it's like at 269, guys, here in South Texas. I mean, in San Antonio, rather. Um, as you're driving and you're on the highway, you see the prices, and they're about 269. That's what I've seen. There's days when they'll be lower, but it's within that range, guys. So I don't know how it is over there. But down here, it's been pretty consistent. Um, it's getting to where everything's gone up. Not just food, of course. The where it's really gone up, also, guys, is like underclothes, like for the guys, boxers and undershirts. I like to wear undershirts and stuff. Um, they it's like ridiculous, like the boxer briefs and stuff like that. Um, clothes, the jeans, the denim has been pretty consistent. It did go up though. It went up maybe like $1, $2. It went up. But that's what I look for. Things that we use everyday life that you know stay, you know, nice appearance. Stay dressed decently and stuff like that. None of us want to go raggedy and stuff. You know what I mean? But that's what's been, as far as like with the prices, with the inflation. It's still manageable, but it's again, I'm glad that in the past year and a half that we bought the food items, the long-term food items that we did at that price. And I would suggest that if y'all can, please keep buying food, guys, because um I don't think there's so much gonna be a food shortage, really. What it is you're not gonna be able to afford it, or you're not gonna be able to afford as much. um so I keep doing that. Like, for example, yesterday, I went and bought, like, which is what I normally do. I bought maybe like 10 cans, right? Maybe 12 of different things, right? But those things get added to my pantry every time I go. And it's just steady, guys. I bought another 25-pound bag of rice, another 25-pound bag of flour, and I just added to my each one is like, the flour here, guys, the 25-pound bag is like $7 and change. The 25-pound bag of rice, where I get it, is like I want to say like $10, something like that. I might be off by a little bit, but it's not more than $10. So um on the inflation side, as far as the inflation, that's what's been happening here. um Now, again, as y'all may know, I'm a maintenance tech, and a lot of the parts that we use to maintain our apartments, they're getting harder to get, or the wait times. I know there's a lot of tools that we use. They get put on what they call a back order, and sometimes if the back order is too long, they'll just cancel it, right? And that's been happening a lot more within the last, I want to say, this past year, 2021. It's happened quite a bit. It's gotten steadily worse, and some appliances are easy to get. Um, Parts to repair appliances. We're still able to get them. But some appliances, new appliances, are hard, especially the fridges. They take a while for us to get them. I don't know how it is over there where y'all are at, guys, but um, again, if y'all have vehicles, especially with your vehicles, guys, try to get filters for your cars. The last time I went to go change my oil, went and picked up the filter, and there was like, the guy was able to find one when it wasn't on it wasn't on his computer that they had it, but he went and checked and they had it. So you want to stay on top of your vehicle, at least the basic maintenance, guys. Stuff that you can control, try to have that handy, the filters for your cars, and stay on top of your tires, stuff like that, because you need wheels. I mean, you cannot be without wheels, guys. Now another thing, guys, that I wanted to talk about, something important. Now, I've always said that we're in a psychological operation, okay? The powers that be, the ruling class, there is a ruling class, guys. This is not nothing conspiratorial. Y'all know this. And I guess I'm preaching to the choir here because y'all know this, but for those of y'all that don't, there is a ruling class. There's always been a ruling class, and it seems to me like they don't care anymore to keep hidden their plans for us. They feel like there's nothing that we can do to stop them. The system, and the system, in a way, they're right, because the system, it has taken a life of its own. The process, right? Like, for example, when you're trying to call about your say there's this product you have, and it's not working, or you got money got taken out of your bank, or some kind of thing that's important, right? You gotta call, and it's automated, and you gotta press this button. You deal very rarely with people now, or when you're finally able to talk to somebody, it's like the last step that they have to resolve your situation, right? And it's hard sometimes. Sometimes you never get to talk to a person. But we're living our lives, guys, right? And there's this ruling class that has put all this on top of us, making it very difficult to live. And sometimes I know, there's normalcy bias, right? There's a normalcy bias, and they're like, and people are thinking, well, everything seems fine to me, or they feel like the changes that are happening, the bad changes, right? The things that they have to deal with, they feel like it's inevitable. It's something that's part of life, and that, to them, it's like, well, that's life, and it is what it is, or whatever. But even myself, sometimes I'm like, are these bad things really happening? Are these bad things that I talk about, right? That I see, that I research, or whatever. Are these things really coming? And sometimes it's, you just tend to, it's information overload. So you try to just deal with it in a way that you're like, well, you know what, I can only do so much. And sometimes you know it's easy to get overwhelmed, guys. And it's easy to kind of get complacent, because you get one extreme or the other. Either you do something and get overwhelmed, or you just like, what, F this, man, I can't deal with this. Let me just do what I can, or let me just not think about it. You have to pick the middle ground, right? You have to not get caught up on one side, too extreme. And what made me think of this, guys, is last week I noticed that there was a lot of people. I know that was a long conversation to get to what I'm going to speak about right now, but I noticed that there was a lot of people. All of a sudden, people started talking about an uprising, right? And nothing. Oh, that's my brother-in-law. Nothing blatant, right? Nothing too obvious, but I started noticing a lot of videos talking about, a lot of content creators talking about how, we have to be ready to defend ourselves and fight the system. And to be fair, there was other content creators talking about how, the violence and all that, that's not the answer. And in a way, I kind of agree. Um, the system has the system has things in place to deal with that. If people all of a sudden want to rebel or whatever, or armed conflict, right? You got the military, you have law enforcement, you have contractors, you have mercenaries that are just waiting, just hoping that the populace decides to kick that off. Okay. um we're not naive, guys. The system has, if you decide to do that, um they'll come down hard. And I'm not saying that the populace can't hold its own. There's a lot of retired military, um there's a lot of retired law enforcement, but who's gonna coordinate all this? Okay, who's gonna you know get the people to get together, and be able to conduct this rebellion or whatever? It's not very, you know what I'm saying, guys. It's not, that wouldn't be good. um Now, I started seeing this, like, too many stories pop up on my YouTube, on the suggestions, right? Even on some of the content creators that I listen to. uh and I couldn't help but thinking that this was almost, whenever some kind of subject pops up, guys, and people start talking about it all at once, I that's a red flag for me. That's something that I'll lay back, I'll sit back, and I'll pay attention, because it's like, to me, it's like a trending item. Okay, it's a trending item. And when everybody starts talking about that, I feel like it's not natural. I feel like that's been a seed that's been put by the bad guys. That's the way I look at it. And and not everything, right? I'm not saying, it's like right now they're talking about the, what is it, La Palma out there in the Canary Islands. They're talking about the volcano that's there, and how it's possible that part of that island might collapse into the ocean and cause a big tidal wave or whatever. Okay, that's in the news. I can, even though a lot of those things are distraction, but it's in the news, and it's something that is being talked about, right? A lot of content creators have spoken about that. And okay, so I'm not really talking about something like that. Okay, something like that. It can be distraction, yes, right. We understand that it can be a distraction, but it's kind of like the Capitol thing that happened on January the 6th. Guys, I never even, my kids asked me about that, right? They were like, to them it was a big thing. And I was like, and to me, guys, to this day, that January 6th, what happened, um to me, that was a non-event. I knew that it was staged. I mean, it was something that was, they not coerced, but people were literally, it's like they were, I don't know, it was too organized in a way, again. But to me, that was from the bad guys. It was arranged by the bad guys. It was nurtured. It was almost prepped, right, for that to happen. And to me, that whole thing was, even though I guess for some people it's like a big event, but to me, that's not even worth talking about, except for the people, that there is people still in jail, right? At least from what I've heard, there's people still being held, still being held on charges over that, even though there's so much footage talking about, I mean, there's so much footage showing how, some of the authorities are actually, it's not what you see on some videos, is not the it doesn't match with the narrative that's being put out by the mainstream media. That's all I'm going to say about that. But anyway, this thing with about people, are people ready to fight back and stuff like that? There's a saying that no, there is, you cannot stop an idea. No army can stop an idea whose time has come, and that's true, guys. And I mean, I guess you could say it works both ways, good and bad. We have a technocracy that is putting in the new financial system. They're bringing it in. They're trying to, and I hope what's going on right now shows people that every financial system that's existed throughout the world in history is always there to benefit the ruling class, in one way or another. That's why, especially here today, we just went to a flea market, a humongous flea market, and I always, to me, the that's kind of like black market, right? To me, the black market is the real economy. Those are the real prices. People people know what the real value of things. You know what I'm saying? Um, but you know this thing with it's gonna have to happen. People fighting back and this and that. I mean, it's not gonna happen like that, guys. There's no it's just not. I've said this before. Let's say there is people rise up, and which how are you gonna do that? Who do you know is on your side? Who do you how do you know? There's, like, they talk about civil war and all that. I mean, that there's civil war, really. If there is a civil war here in America, guys, it's gonna be very messy. You don't know who's on your side. Okay. um both sides will get infiltrated. I mean, it's just not possible, guys. I mean, now when you start arresting bankers and politicians, uh high level politicians, when those people start getting arrested, and getting brought up on charges against crimes against humanity, then that's the way you got to start that. Those people, they might not be they're just puppets on a string, but they allowed this to happen. They sold us out, guys. And you know what? People, real regular people like us, are selling us out just the same. So it's not just the high level politicians, guys. It's not just the bankers. There's people going along with it, as long as they get their checks, as long as they get their little, whatever, their little benefits and stuff. They're fine. They'll do it. They'll sell you out. They'll snitch on you. They'll sell you out, and they'll go along with whatever they're told to say. Whatever the authorities have to say, they'll go along with it. Um, so you have to be clear minded, and handle, like they say. You got to get your own house in order. Um, and that's why we prep, guys. It's kind of strange looking at things, and what I was getting at is, are things really happening? And yes, they are. But I've always said, um, when the first signs started happening about the collapse, that was, like, to me, like in 2014. I started seeing, um, China started kind of getting away from the petrodollar, and they were selling their, you know, um, liquidating their bonds for gold, and they were buying up gold, and so was Russia. Um, it's a collapse in slow motion, guys. Um, it's a transition. We're being transitioned, right? Um, and so they don't care. The ruling class cannot lose what they have. Um, they have control of everything, of all the infrastructure, of all the process, right? The process of living everyday life, they run it. So it's like we're getting carried along with it, you know. So you just gotta prepare, guys. You have to prepare, and stockpile as many things as you can, because if you don't, when the time comes that you have to get away from the system or make your stand, You're not gonna be able to. You're not gonna be able to because you're gonna be entirely reliant on that system to get you through. So, again, with these things about with rising up, and yeah, we gotta rise up, but there's too many people. They fractured us. They fractured society. Um, so that's another thing about society that I got reminded of. But I'll talk about that maybe tomorrow. Um, they're trying to say, I'm gonna leave with this last thing, guys. Okay, I'm gonna leave you with this last thing. Like communism, right? And what we're seeing right now with some of the with the health crisis. Um, they're saying that if we that society is more important than us, right? The individual. Okay, but I'm gonna tell y'all this. Every individual, we are a flesh and blood creation, right? We're real. We exist in this world. We are not some legal fiction. We are not a concept, right? But society, guys, society is just a concept. It's not a real thing. It's a concept. It's a construct. Okay, and society, there's everybody. We're all different. Okay, so society, that's something that they made up. Okay, and society changes, right? It's never the same. So they're trying to say that this construct, this thing that they have made up, that it's more important than us. But just remember, guys, that's BS. We it starts and finishes with us. Okay, the whole is not more important than us. It's not. And I know y'all know this. I don't have to explain this to y'all, but maybe y'all can tell that to your, it's something that we can explain to other people that are still kind of like, not thinking things through. You know, society is not more important than me, guys. It's not. And it's not more important than you. It's not more important than your child. It's not more important than your grandchild. It's not more important than your loved ones. It's not. It's made up. That's a made up thing. It's a fallacy. It's a logical fallacy. It's something that's been made up. So just remember that, guys. There's even a term, I forgot about it. I forgot the term that they use. But I'll leave a link when I make this next video. I'm gonna leave it for y'all. And again, this is all, it's psychological, guys. It's a lot of psychology that they're using on us. And they've been doing it their whole lives. They know how people tick. Okay, that's why I believe it's very important that everybody should study psychology. Read books on it, or there's videos on it, because it's all psychological, guys. You know, and the people that are not prepared, the typical average person on the street, and these people might be intelligent. They've gone to college or whatever, and so they're intelligent in what the college taught them. You know what I'm saying? Whatever the college taught them, that's what they're smart in. But they don't know psychology, guys. They don't know. Um, it's very easy to manipulate people. It's very easy. So anyway, guys, it's good talking to y'all. If you're still here, thanks for hanging in there. I just had a lot to talk about, but keep prepping, guys. It is gonna get worse. And not just that, but I'm seeing this system that they're gonna put in place, or they're trying to put in place, and I can see that it's actually happening. Other content creators have been talking about it for years. Agenda 21, really, that's what we're seeing. Agenda 21 and Agenda 2030, it's being implemented right in front of our face. That's what's happening. Deborah Tavares talked about that, especially her, with stopthecrime.net. She's been talking about this for years. But anyway, guys, we're still we still have a lot of power. We're still flesh and blood. We're real. we are here. We're not some kind of a construct, and we have to stand together. Because what's gonna happen is we need to stand up now for our children, because if we don't, by the time they get, we're gonna leave it to where um there's no way they're gonna be able to stand up for themselves. That's the world we're gonna leave them. We're gonna leave them a world where it's not even gonna be possible for them to stand up for themselves. So anyway, y'all take care of each other and love each other out there, because that's what we're here for. God bless.